Being a single mom, the reality of that has been a lot. It's like a simultaneously empowering and the loneliest time ever in my life. I mean, I remember going in to hear the heartbeat for the first time. I remember walking out of the office and feeling the weight of the loneliness. Nobody else is as invested in this as me, and they never will be. Forever.
We want to extend a huge thank you to Ergobaby and Frida Mom for bringing this episode of What's Underneath Birth and Postpartum to life.
Stay tuned till the end of the episode to learn more about our incredible partners and the special offers they have for you.
Can you talk about what your style says about you?
I definitely identify as a more masculine of center woman. So for me, clothes have always been it's always been an extension of myself in terms of my gender. Turns out there's no butch maternity wear. What do you wear when you're masculine, more masculine of centered? Turns out just like a lot of overalls and sweatpants and ribbed tank tops. I've never identified with my chest. And all of a sudden I had a chest and I had to identify with something. I didn't have to, but I did. This is the time that I've most identified and been most comfortable with my chest because they serve a purpose. It's like utilitarian. It makes sense for me for the first time in my life. My body, my gender, everything just was like click, click into place.
What are assumptions that people made about you while you were pregnant?
Number one, that I must have slept with a dude. And so what was that like? Well, how did that happen? I'm like, there's other ways around this, right? I feel like my pregnancy was confusing to some, and I say that not in the way of a negative connotation, but what's that going to be like as this unfolds? Or how did she get like this? So I think people actually didn't assume a ton. It was more like people had a lot of questions. The assumption I can say now is people assume that I'm not his mom, that I didn't give birth to him. My partner, who just became my partner almost a year after I gave birth to him. She's feminine, and so people are always looking at her wow, your snapback game is on 10, or your son is so cute, People don't default to me being the birthing parent. It makes me smile because I know I am. You can't take my joy in any capacity away from the fact that I got pregnant, carried this child, birthed this child, and now have this child. There's nothing anybody could say to me that would take any of that joy away.
Can you talk about the biggest insecurity that has come up for you in the whole birth postpartum experience?
Being a single mom, being able to be the ultimate provider. There was a lot of volatility in my house growing up. And so for me, I think subconsciously it was you can look to me, I got you. The interesting thing is how it all plays in now is being a single mom, being the whole I got you, but then not asking for help is not possible. I've really tried hard over the years to do the work. I've definitely had moments of depression, battle depression and highs and lows and things. Not that I was suicidal, right? There's always been there's always an out. If it got horrifically bad in this world, there's always an out. Now that I have him, there's no out. Unless you literally kill me and I will have to be decapitated. I'm going to do everything I can for this child and for my own life, The reality of that has been a lot because nothing can happen to me. I always knew I wanted to be a mom ever since I was little. It was just something that always called to me. I didn't know how or what capacity or if it was going to be in partnership and things like that. And I had hit the markers that people would traditionally go for. I was married to a woman, but I was married for a couple of years. We ended up getting a divorce. Then I had financial highs, career highs, so all those things, and it kept passing. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, it's oh my God, we didn't do the thing because you have to be proactive about it. And it's kind of a lot to do. So for me, I made the hard stop that when I was 37, regardless of circumstances, that this was going to be what I embark on, this journey. So my journey was starting and I met somebody. I told her on our first date, that this was something that I was going to be starting during this coming year. And as we started dating more, I was like, this is real. Like, I'm really going to start exploring. I'm going to go get fertility tested now. And just so you know, this is my journey. It got to a point where she asked me if she could join in. So we started doing it together. Like, she was coming on board. Questions started coming up. It was like, maybe we should travel more. Do you want to like wait this amount of time? Or maybe we could do these ... you know? It just became clear to me that like, this was still my journey. So I was immovable about my timeline. So it became clear that like it was time for her to step back into the friendship role. I think like it really put my own commitment to myself in perspective, because I had this new relationship that was like exciting, and like there is a reason why I could postpone it more, but like I had made a commitment to myself, and like this is what I'm gonna stick with. I think I always had this vision that in my own journey, I would like know the person. I wanted to feel their vibe. And then like in my mind, they would like step into this like uncle role potentially, and this and that. And I tried that and it did not work. To get a guy that is on the same page with you, that is down to relinquish like rights and things like that, and then like get him to your physical space within a time frame, all those factors proved to be just other hurdles. Ultimately, it came down to, for me, like it looked like the sperm bank was my method. The bank that I ended up going with ultimately, they have really in-depth audio interviews. And so for me, it was like listening to their personalities kind of unfold, and like listening in between, like in the intonation of things. Are you just spewing answers that you think that people want to hear, or are you really answering with your truth? And the donor I ended up going with, I really felt like was doing that. Something for me that was really important was having an open donor, so that when he's 18, if he wants to reach out and contact them, they facilitate it. The one thing that I do find that I kind of am quick to like correct is like people will say like the dad, they're referring to the donor. But I think like making sure that distinction is clear, that donors and dads are two completely separate things. And that's something I always have to do. Like that's something that is a constant correction that I feel like I'm faced with.
What has been your biggest struggle during pregnancy and after?
The biggest struggle during pregnancy was I had planned, I was like, I'll get pregnant in January. And then, you know, I produce events. So I had all these events lined up. I just thought, okay, I'll execute all these events. And by July, when I'm really showing, I will have gotten all of them out of the way. I will have stacked all this money to save up. And then I could kind of like relax and focus on the end of my pregnancy. And then, the pandemic hit. All of my events got canceled. There's a pandemic. I'm pregnant. I started going to this mode of like, oh my God, like I'm the only one that is left to figure this out. I need to do whatever I can. So, you know, I like went out, I'm like, should I drive for Instacart? Nobody else is doing anything for me here. So what am I going to do? Like I need to work. And then there's this potential that I could be harming my child, or like I'm feeling like I'm already failing, and like realizing like that there was nobody else, or there's no collaboration on this. It's like a simultaneously empowering and the loneliest time ever in my life. Like, I mean, I remember going in to hear the heartbeat for the first time, and I just felt like really happy. But I remember walking out of the office and feeling the weight for the first time of the loneliness in this, because I realized nobody else is as invested in this as me, and they never will be forever. I had a really traumatic birthing experience. My whole birth plan, it was like out the window. It felt like these plans I kept creating. It was like me getting pregnant, I have this whole thing planned. And it was like, skirt, just kidding. And then it's like, I have this whole peaceful birth plan. That was like, skirt, just kidding. I had a midwife. I was gonna give birth in water. I had a hypnobirthing playlist. I never went to a traditional like Western medicine doctor during it. I just went to a midwife because I had the best pregnancy. I was like feeling great. I was active, everything like that. And finally I went to labor and I went to the birthing center, and I didn't have a basis of comparison, but it seemed abnormally like painful. And all of a sudden his heart rate dropped. She started shaking my stomach. I didn't know what was going on because my eyes were rolling back in my head because it was so intense. And she just was like, call the ambulance. Like, she needs to get out of here. She needs to be brought to the emergency room. They came in and like rushed me to the ICU, and they told me my contractions were way too long, way too intense, so they had to stop them. And I kept saying like, my back feels like it's breaking. I think my back is breaking. Basically, they found out about probably 32 or 34 hours in that my pelvic floor was not shaped like it's supposed to be shaped like this, and mine was shaped like a diamond, which is like rare, but it happens. And his head was lodged in it. And so he was spinning the whole time. And so he was back laboring. So when I said my back felt like it was breaking, it's because my back was like breaking. And so they said they had to do an emergency C-section. So at hour 36, they brought me in, and it's like your body is just so wrecked at that point. And they're like, okay, now get into a very vulnerable position, curl over, and we're gonna stick this giant needle in your spine. And then we're gonna cut you open, pull all of your insides out, and here's a baby. Now, good luck to you. With C-sections, it's like, you just literally have everything pulled out of you. And we say, oh, you had a C-section, like it's nothing. It's major surgery. Like, recover from major surgery and also be a new mom. I just remember hearing him cry, and I didn't even know they had started the C-section yet. And I had, so I'm like, what, is that him? How did he get out?
Oh, wow.
They put him on me. It's just, it's so strange. I feel like it's something that's not talked about, which is like in the media and movies and things like that. It's like you see this baby come out, and it's like you see them, and it's like this love you've never felt before, you know? And it's like all of a sudden you're just overwhelmed, and oh my God, this is the moment. And like, yes, and maybe not 100%, because you just went through incredible trauma. You don't know really what's going on. This is a human that you know you love, but like you don't know them yet, and you don't know you yet. You know, I think what happens when you have a baby is like simultaneously you give birth to a new life and you die. It's like everything you've known as you is gone. I think for me, I've fallen in love with this child. Now I can say wholeheartedly it's boundless, and it supersedes anything that I could have ever imagined. But that was not the feeling that I had when he first came out, because there was all these other components, and I knew I loved him, and I was like, I should be feeling this in love, and of course I'm going to say I'm so in love, and I was, but not like I am now. Like now I'm in love. My friend who ended up being the godmother, she stayed with me for a couple days and stuff, but no, then it was me, and it was just me. And that was like when a lot of come to Jesus moments took place, for sure. I was just like feeling so overwhelmed. You're like so tired, almost feel like unsafely tired. It's like your body gets to this point where you're just like, I was scared of dropping him. Like, I just remember thinking like, oh my God, like, how am I gonna do this? I would literally in his crib sometimes prop my body, like lay across it and like put my boob down into his mouth and just sleep, like take a nap, like kind of sleep right there, because it's just like, I don't know how I'm going to function. But then when you get through it, it's like, oh yeah, like every moment was so worth it. It made me realize like how far I can go. It really made me realize what I'm capable of.
And do you feel the most vulnerable in this journey?
Asking for help, because I really tried in the beginning to really do it all, and do it all like with a smile on my face. I remember I was at the store when he was super young, and I was terrified. I was like, I have to go grocery shopping, and I knew he was gonna probably wake up and cry during it. And I started going around the store, and I was pulling things. It was like supermarket sweep. I was like, just take the whole thing. I'll figure it out later. And about halfway through, he woke up and he just started screaming and crying. And I was so tired. I was so defeated. And I saw this mom there, and she had a baby on her hip, and she had like a little kid with her. And she literally just, it was so simple, but she locked eyes with me, and she was just like, you're doing great. And I was like, oh my God, like I just needed that. Like right then, like more than anything, I just needed that.
When do you feel the most beautiful?
When I'm breastfeeding, because I've always had an interesting relationship with the word beautiful, but it doesn't have to do with like gender. For example, past partners have been like, I don't know if I should say you're beautiful or handsome, but I think I can actually say with beautiful, like I do feel beautiful when I'm breastfeeding. I think more people should be normalized in being called beautiful. Like I call men beautiful. I call boys beautiful. I think that's important. I think that there's like a softness to it. I think that's what it is, where I've been like, am I that soft? Can I say that I'm beautiful?
What would you say is the biggest lesson or gift that Mecca has given you?
I think he's taught me presence and stillness. He's really taught me what's important, and ultimately it's this love. It's softened me. It's taught me how to receive help. It's taught me how to receive just compliments, worth, that I'm like I'm doing great. It's like right now I just wanted to say like that I'm doing okay, but like I feel like I'm doing great, you know? And that's hard for me to say. But
I really understand that.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying. So that's the best I can do.
That is really beautiful. The whole thing is just so incredibly beautiful. And thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you to our partners, Ergobaby and Frida Mom, for supporting us and showing the beauty of radically honest birth, pregnancy, and postpartum stories. Ergobaby is a company that's supporting your growing family through every step of the parenthood journey. What did you use to carry me when I was a baby?
I'd have to wrap you really tight in a blanket or somehow put you inside of a shirt. I would have loved to have had something like Ergobaby's baby carrier.
Ergobaby's newborn carrier, the Ergobaby Embrace, is now available in soft air mesh. Soft, cool, and comfortable, it's the sweetest way to stay connected from the start. Frida Mom is a company dedicated to demystifying the raw realities of motherhood and prepping moms with the tools they need to tackle pregnancy, postpartum, and breastfeeding. Frida Mom is rewriting the narrative that talking about your postpartum experience is taboo and is supporting moms around the world to feel empowered in their motherhood journey.
New mothers deserve to have access to solutions, tools, and information to get the most out of their postpartum experience.
Frida Mom is now introducing their C-section postpartum recovery line with innovative solutions so that you can prep for the planned and unplanned, get better sooner, and feel stronger. Make sure to check out your Target Circle for some money off of Frida Mom's newest pregnancy and C-section line.
On your next Ergobaby purchase, use code StyleLikeU15 for 15% off today. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of What's Underneath Birth and Postpartum with Whitney.
For more interviews like these, subscribe to Style Like You.
And head over to our Patreon if you want to watch more of Whitney's incredible story.
Bye. Bye. Bye.